a little carnivore.
If you made it here, you already belong. So stay a while and pass it on. Liquid lips, let it ride from the first good sip to the last call night. Ain't about the label, ain't about the price. It's about good folks and a damn good time. Yeah, we talk straight, we live loud. Big Bourbon Club got the whole damn crowd. If you're tuned in, you're one of us. Big Bourbon Club.
Hello, welcome to Liquid to Lips. It's Wednesday, third Wednesday of the month. I'm Andijo Clark, your virtual event host here in Big Bourbon Club at Liquid to Lips. And I am with Shawn. Shawn is the founder and chief infusion officer over at Bluegrass Bitters. And I'm so excited about this interview, Shawn. Thanks for being here and being willing to share all things bitters with us.
Hey, thank you for having me on here. I've been a big fan of BIG for a long time, so this is really exciting for me. Know a lot of the members, so really excited to share the story.
Yeah, as soon as we announced that you were going to be on here, and we were going to talk about bitters, it was probably one of our most RSVP'd. Usually people are like, just hop on, but we had a lot of questions come in, so I'm really excited. Shawn, before we get into the nitty gritty about bitters, we always want to learn a little bit about you. So if you can just kind of share with us like where you are, if you have a family, if you're from here, and then how you kind of got into the industry.
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, Shawn Herbig. My wife and I are the founders of Bluegrass Bitters. So where am I from? Fourth generation Kentuckian. So born and raised here. And it's interesting because when you're younger, that's not like this badge of honor. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to get out.
Yeah.
But once you get a little older, you're like, hey, this is really cool. And there's a lot of heritage. And certainly from the standpoint of bourbon, there's a lot of heritage. And I sort of joke around that, I'm 55, I'll turn 56 this year. And, so a kid in the 70s, when you were teething, what'd your parents do to stop, a crying baby who was teething? You rubbed a little bourbon on their gums, right?
Yeah.
So I've been a bourbon drinker for a long time, if you count all the way back to those days. But then it was just, I get more into the details later, but it was just a hobby in terms of creating the bitters, and it just grew. It just sort of exploded, and here we are. And there were enough people who said, you ought to start a business. And here we are. But yeah, I have a family. I have a grown son, lives down in Nashville. Have a wife who's actually just in the other room. She's a CPA. And then in my, what I say, because people are like, is this a side gig? And I'm like, no, believe me, I'm working my butt off.
Yeah.
It's not a side gig.
Never. Being a business owner, it's never a side gig. Trust me, I know.
Exactly. So the way I phrase it is my other daytime job. So Bluegrass Bitters is like a full-time job. And then my other full-time job is, and what I've done for my whole career is I own a research and data analytics firm called IQS Research. And that company just celebrated 27 years just a couple months ago. So I'm a data nerd. I'm a geek. That's who I am.
So, if you've been a fan of BIG, you're clearly a bourbon drinker. Let's start there. What are you grabbing for on an everyday pour kind of night? What's your kind of everyday go-to?
Yeah. So all right, I say it like this. So our official company line is we are bourbon agnostic as long as it's from Kentucky. We kind of push that. But in all fairness, we've got some good partners. Four Roses is a partner of ours. New Riff is a partner of ours. Log Still is a partner of ours.
Yeah, all good choices. Wow.
All good choices. So I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't some of that on our bar. But here's one thing you can see, and this is true, right? So I'm sitting in this is what we call our great room. We just have an open concept here, and so our bar is kind of like spread throughout a lot of places, including like down in my bitters lab, which is downstairs where I still do a lot of R&D. But you can see the bitters in our home are prominently displayed, and the alcohol is in decanters. And that's how we roll.
That's cool.
But I'll tell you this is small batch. That's rye.
Cool.
So that's how. So we always have it because those are our two. I will not disclose those, but the names just because they're from our partners.
Listen, we all appreciate a little blind tasting situation, and especially when we're showcasing bitters and we're showcasing something that's not the bourbon which is
That's
what we
right.
usually do. It's cool to know, to not know. So maybe everybody should challenge themselves tonight and not share what they're drinking it with. So
Yeah.
if you've been a whiskey drinker, you obviously are in the old fashioned game. Everybody talks about bitters. I feel like that's kind of the gateway to bitter conversation, honestly. And I'm sure how long have you been doing this, and what made you think like, I'm going to start making my own?
Yeah, so it was a hobby for probably 5 or 6 years, and I think what got me there is it was sort of this really like the best old fashioned, so whether I made it or somebody else made it, what I realized is if you're sitting there and you're going out to a restaurant or you're going out to a bar, some old fashions are amazing and some of them just suck. Some of them are terrible. And if I'm being honest, sometimes when I would make them, they were okay, and sometimes they were not, right? Maybe the recipe wasn't really good, or I wasn't measuring really well, or whatever. And here's my philosophy, and I'm real serious about this. If you believe like I do that the bourbon's good, right? If you believe that good Kentucky bourbon's not broken, then old fashioned. So an old fashioned's only 3 ingredients, so good Kentucky bourbon, some form of and some form of bitters. Well, if the bourbon's not broken, then it's got to be everything else in the glass or the recipe. So I said, well, look, I never had any interest in being a distiller. And you got people who've got oodles of generations of experience. I could never touch that. But I said, I can tackle everything else in the glass. So that was kind of my mindset from the beginning is I'm going to own everything else in the glass. And we're just going to see if we can't crack the recipe that way, just trusting that somebody else already had figured out the bourbon. I didn't need to do that part.
Sure. And I'm sure that the club knows me, or anyone that follows me knows that I am pretty hardcore about 3 ingredient old fashions too, how they're made, that they're consistent. And I think that that's the approach, like there's not a lot of, there is some bourbons. There's a lot of whiskey and bourbon that you shouldn't drink with anything in it. There's a lot of stuff that some people think that you shouldn't drink at all. That isn't good. But I really think that if you're making an old fashioned well, it's always going to elevate the tasting experience with the whiskey, of course. The Kentucky bourbon, we'll roll with that since this is your show. Okay. So let's talk about it. Everyone's eager to know, like some of us think we know. No, I'm sure none of us have probably been to a bourbon distillery. So give us a scoop without giving it away, kind of what the process is for making bitters, why. I know it's super high alcohol content, that kind of deal.
Yeah, so it's a couple different things depending on if you're making it in your home or if you're making it like fully commercial, right? So, but the net is the process is you're just taking aromatics, right? So it can be barks, it can be flowers, it can be herbs, it can be whatever. And some of those you've heard of, right? Cinnamon and cloves and nutmeg and vanilla. Those are all real and they're kind of staples in a lot of different recipes. Taking those products and you're putting them into an alcohol bath. Is that simple, right? And you're letting it sit for some period of days or some period of weeks. You can shake it, you get kind of really technical around what's the alcohol and, do you, again, a lot like bourbon, do you dilute it before? Do you dilute it afterwards? Where do you go with all of that? Is it a clear alcohol? Is it a brown alcohol? All those things make huge differences. But at the end of the day, aromatics in an alcohol bath, let it sit for a while, and you're changing the flavor of the alcohol bath that you're using. And then you're taking that and that becomes a flavor concentrate.
So it can be anything. It can be any alcohol and any aromatics. It's just the process, really, right?
Exactly. The process is that simple. So you could use a grain neutral spirit. You could use like an Everclear. And as a matter of fact, for some products, for some like citruses, as an example, Everclear works out super well. The process that you use to sort of extract the oils out of an orange, the same process that you'd use to extract the oils out of a lemon to make the original Italian recipe of limoncello, as an example, right? So it's the exact same process. And you could use that same process, although you go with a lower proof, and it's the same process you use to make homemade vanilla, vanilla extract, right? It's literally the exact same process. And then at the end of the day, what happens is let's say like a limoncello, then that becomes a consumable alcohol. So now it's subject to the 3-tier system and all the different rules that go on and on. When you're making a bitters, the way that is considered is a non-potable alcohol. So
Okay.
we are exempt from the 3-tier system. We're actually technically exempt even from like age restrictions, although most bitters companies do honor
Yeah, I was
those.
gonna say some places I can order it online delivered to my house, and some places I can't. You know, it's wild.
Yeah, and it's in some places like I can go up the road here to my local convenience store that doesn't even necessarily sell beer, and literally right next to the baking soda I can pick up a bottle of bitters. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
craft bitters, it wouldn't be very good, but you can do that legally. You're allowed to sell it because even though it has an alcohol content, the way if you were to put that into a non-alcoholic drink like a bitters and soda, the amount of bitters that you would use netted out in that drink would be less than 0.5 ABV. Ergo, that's considered NA.
Yeah. I
So
mean, that's less than orange juice, you know.
yeah, exactly. So we get into some weird laws that go into that, but yeah, so net, the process is real straightforward. The rules get kind of wonky. What ends up sort of messing us up, quite frankly, is everybody's used to either dealing with a product that has 0 alcohol in it, or a product that's like 80 proof and is used to be like an alcohol, and then it's like we're in the middle. So we get wonked from the food side, we get wonked from the alcohol side. And a lot of times people are like, I don't know what to do with you. I'm like, what permit do we need to sell here? And they're like, not really sure. And I'm like,
Right. Just send it to us and let's see what happens. Yeah. Ask for
exactly.
forgiveness, not permission, you know, that kind of deal.
Yeah, we've had a few of those too.
It's Kentucky, anything goes, right?
I
Um,
feel like that, yeah.
okay, so the couple questions. Somebody wanted to know if distillation is in the process of making bitters. Is that something that you do? I don't know. I don't know. I guess go ahead and you can answer that.
Technically, no. I mean, the product, the liquid, the alcohol bath, right, would have been distilled prior to us getting it. So it's more of
Okay.
it's technically more like a rectification process than it is a distillation process.
And you say infusion. I know you say that a lot. It's kind of that like visual there as well. That's what you're saying too, right? Or
Yeah, I mean, the word that we would use is, I mean, you can use rectification, which is a technical term for it, or I mean, really, you're just talking about maceration, is what it is, right? Maceration means to soften, and that's kind
oh,
of what you're doing, right? You're taking these aromatics and you're sort of softening them, but in the process of softening them, I sort of look at it as which direction is the flavor going.
mm,
When you're macerating something, you're taking the flavor sort of out of the solids and you're putting it into the liquid. And that's
okay,
basically what you're doing is you're transforming the flavor of the liquid.
okay, that makes more sense. I mean, I think that you can kind of wrap your brain a little bit around in the barrel space too. You know, you think about that with the coming out of the solid into a liquid, not as much infusing, I would assume, but
But
I don't know.
similar concept though. Exactly. It's a interaction with, between the liquid and the wood absolutely changes it. Yeah.
So let's get into your brand. So Bluegrass Bitters started when, as far as a company goes, and then give us the scoop on your like core lineup.
Yeah. So basically what happened is like I said, so we were in just sort of the hobby and just sort of, mess around and find out stage for a number of years. Got that sort of encouragement. They said, well, you should just try it and da da da. And I'll tell you just a quick sort of transition there. So I was having coffee with on the research side, my other company, with this vendor who was anyway. We were just having coffee, and so on the way out, I said, "Hey, Mike," I said, "Do you drink bourbon?" I said, and he's like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, I make these bitters." I said, "Next time we're together, I'll just bring you a bottle." And again, it's totally a hobby and da da da. And he goes, "Well, Shawn," he goes, you know that I used to work for Brown Forman." Which, of course, in Louisville, like everybody worked for Brown Forman or
Sure.
Humana or, whatever. And I go, no, I kind of forgotten that. He goes, yeah, he goes, I still have a few friends who are consultants. He goes, you mind if I just make a couple of phone calls? I'm like, well, what the heck? And so he made a few phone calls. We ended up talking to a few consultants, talking to a few flavor scientists, got really accelerated. So like literally from that conversation about a month later, which was probably in like May of 24, like a month later, I had the LLC, I had the federal ID number, the whole 9 yards, yada, yada, yada. And so we get all that stuff put together. Then it got interesting because so that was June of 24. So then I contracted with a whole group of flavor scientists, right? Because I'm like, look, I'm a good geek, right? So I know how to do this stuff, but I don't know how to make a food and beverage company, which is what this is, or bourbon adjacent food and beverage company. And so I worked with a group of food scientists from June of 24 until September of 25. So it's 15 months of hardcore, very expensive R&D. We started selling then in September of 25. So Andy Joe, we haven't even been selling on the market for a year. We're babies. We're still in our first.
That's crazy. And now I mean, it's also cool to know that we're seeing it and hearing about it almost ground level too, which is fun.
Totally. One day I will be famous. I won't even do interviews like this. No, I'm just teasing. You guys, I will always do interviews with you.
Just with us.
Always with you guys. But yeah, so
no, yeah, give us a scoop. We're dying to see, like, everybody got these sample packs, and now we're just dying to dive in and see what that stuff's about.
Okay, all right. So a couple things. So if you've got your sample pack, here's what I recommend. Right. So if you got your sample packs, one of the things you got is you got this little. So these bottles are smaller than what we normally would sell like on the website. They're little sample bottles. What size is the average batch? A few thousand bottles is the short answer there. A few thousand bottles is what we're normally running on a batch, whether that be the syrup or whether that be the bitters. That's the standard size for the bitters, right? So the normal standard size is a 2 ounce. We call this the 2 ounce with the pipette. And then we've got some that we do 2 ounce with the mister, standard size for the syrup, 8 ounce. But what you guys have, just because it's easier, it's smaller, you got a little 4 ounce bottle of syrup, and you got some 10 ml bottles, little sample bottles of the 5-spice orange and the black walnut. Here's what I recommend you do. And we also threw in some little tasting cups in your kits. If you haven't done it already, pop open this smoky simple syrup. So I want to tell you about that. Pop it open, pour just like a little bit in. I remember when Shawn first started out at BIG. Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate you, brother. So you comments here. Okay, just pour out just a little bit across, just like across the bottom of that glass. And what I invite you to do, nose it first. Nose it first when it's in that glass. Just about that much. That's perfect. That's perfect. I always say nose it and then sip about half of it. So as you're doing that, what a lot of people will say is you're going to get a lot of smoke on the nose. Mm-hmm. So here's what I'm going to tell you.
Almost like barbecue sauce. You know,
almost like barbecue really sauce. Mm-hmm. I get barbecue sauce. I get pork. I get bacon. Yeah. I get that one a lot. Yeah. So all of those things come out. This is the deal. So this smoky simple syrup, this is 100% turbinado sugar. Now, if you guys know, that's that sugar in the raw, right? It's like you go there in the coffee shop or something, it's that stuff in the brown packet. Thick crystals, minimally processed, has a whole lot of molasses in it. Look how dark that syrup is. Mm-hmm. Look how dark. That comes from that molasses, those notes that are in there. Here's the cool thing. The way I phrase it is, and I'll tell you about the smoke in a second, but the way this sweetener is not just designed to make the bourbon sweet. Remember, the bourbon's not broken, right? What we want to do, yes, we're going to add some sweetness to it, but what we're really trying to do is we want to accentuate the caramel and butterscotch and molasses already in the bourbon. That's the thing. Bourbon's good. Elevate it. We just want to play with it a little bit, right?
Exactly.
So we use this turbinado minimally processed sugar, nice and dark. That's the color of the syrup. Where does the smoke come from? Occasionally people will say, oh, you just use like, those aren't my friends very often if they say that. That's an unforgivable statement. Yeah. Here's how we get it. Here's the, well, I'll tell you as much as I'll tell you. Natural oak infusion. Natural oak infusion. Why do we use oak? Because Kentucky bourbon in, right? Sure. And so we take that oak. I won't tell you the process. We spent a long time getting that process figured out. But if you do this, but when you do it, you get that natural oak. I'm going to pour my bottle into. So you get that natural oak infusion. That's where that smoke comes from. So it's a good, clean smoke. It's very natural. It just works, right? Sure. So do that. Here's the thing. If you've got it open, this is one of the things that I like to play with. Now take your 5-spice orange bitters, right? Now I won't tell you. So some people say, well, is this a Chinese 5-spice? It's not. Right? It is not a Chinese 5-spice. To be totally honest, had I made that connection in the beginning before I launched it, I would have found a 6th spice and put it in there just so people didn't get that.
Anything. Yeah.
Something, exactly. But like the kernels, herbs, and spices, I won't tell you all 11 of them. I won't tell you all 5, but I'll tell you 2. So certainly you're going to have the orange citrus. So it's very citrus forward. So when you open that up, and here's what I say: if you've still got your little bit of your smoky simple syrup, open up your bottle and just put about 3, maybe 4 drops of orange bitters, and just drops. Smoky simple syrup. There you go. Exactly, just like that. 3, maybe 4. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, I'll do 4.
Swirl it a little bit. Same thing.
Like
Nose it. There you go. Nose it and taste it. What do you think?
So I was expecting it to be what the bitter smells like by itself, but with it, it almost pulled the smoke, the heavy smoke away from it almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blended it. You still taste it, but neither of them are, it's really well balanced, I think. That's what I think.
I think it tends to
I'll fill my cup up and have some more.
I'm not stopping you.
I know.
Wait, here's the thing. So of course you've got that natural citrus forward, and then 2 of the spices that I tell people about: green cardamom, which is your leading ingredient in chai tea, and then also caraway seed, which is your leading ingredient in rye bread. Right. So a lot of people don't think about those playing together. But if you think about, for me, when I think about chai, I always think about like the cream and the sugar and all that stuff. I always think about it like a latte or something.
Yeah. Not the spice from the tea specifically.
Andijo, that's exactly right. And here's the thing. If you get the spice, right, just like the actual green cardamom pods, which is, again, what the R&D is built on, is what these things are originally made with. That's kind of an earthy spice.
Yeah.
And it plays super well with the caraway seed. So you get those 2 earthy flavors, and then with that citrus forward, it's a real clean base underneath there in terms of the alcohol that we use. So it goes super well. And here's a little tip. Because again, you can put it in a small batch, you can put it in a.
I'm gonna try it one more time, just in case. I'm gonna try it one more time just in case.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So you can put it in a small, you can mix it with whatever sort of alcohol you want, but here's what I recommend. Put it in with a rye. Put it in with the rye, because here's the thing: those sort of spicy top notes that you're getting out of that 5-spice rye, or I'm sorry, out of that 5-spice orange, it's going to play super well with those spicy notes that you're going to get in a rye. And thing, guys, you don't have to get like a crazy expensive rye, right? I know a lot of people like, okay, well, let's, what about if you use like a $50 bottle or whatever? And I'll be blunt. I was one of the guys who was helping us in the beginning, giving us some feedback, is a really talented, right, named Chef Dave. I actually just left Louisville, just went to Chicago. And I happened to run into him, right? I just happened to run into him at the Dine Company, right? Which sells a bunch of restaurant equipment. I've literally been in the Dine Company twice, but like the second time I happened to run into Chef Dave, and we were, pretty close. R&D had been moving along the official stage. I'd launched the company, blah, blah, blah. And I'd met him before, and he had tried all the flavors. And I'm like, I was kind of bragging. I'm like, well, Dave, I've been, making some pretty good cocktails around the house. And I told him what I was using, which was about a $50 bottle of rye. And I'm like, kind of, I'm just like feeling pretty confident about it. And he just sort of looks at me, just goes, yeah. Did you ever hear of, I'm just going to mention it. He goes, you ever hear of Rittenhouse? And I'm an idiot. I'm like, oh, no. And he's like, yeah. He goes, it's fun. He goes, it's a Heaven Hill product. It's about $27 a bottle. And I go, okay. He goes, punches above its weight class. And I go, okay. Well, I said, well, I'll check it out. So he, kidding you, his next statement was, he goes, here's the thing, Shawn. Anybody can make a great cocktail with a $50 bottle of bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Like, I agree.
Yeah. And I'm like, damn, what a gut punch, man. So, yeah. So
I literally have one. So now that you say that, so I was just grabbing that. Sorry about that.
There you go. All good. Yeah. So I'm like, man, that was kind of a gut punch, but he was right. So, also when you ask me like, what's in the bottles, what's in the decanters, I'm sort of a big fan. Look, I've got some expensive bottles. I know we all do. Here's the thing. I'm also totally geeked on a bottle that's like $30, and I'm totally down with that. And not because it's like, oh, it's cheap, so I can make it to a cocktail. Forget that. There's some really good stuff that's not very expensive, absolutely punches above its weight class. And I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, I think too, like I just try, I agree. And that's kind of the hill that I will die on with old fashions is it doesn't matter what, if the whiskey that, or the rye or the bourbon, or I mean, we know all that's whiskey and whatever you're putting in it, and it goes, you're making a consistent old fashioned with the right or close enough or traditional ratio of the other stuff, you're really just elevating that. And as long as you like what you started with, it never gets worse. And there's lots of, it's a really good way to use whiskeys that you, and bourbons that you won't put, that you're like, I have stuff that I will not mix with anything just because it's special to me and it's made to be drank neat and whatever. But it's a great way to really elevate the experience of having the stuff that you're drinking every day too. And knowing that you don't have to really make an old fashioned, you can just put a couple drops of bitters in it and a little bit of simple and just, and drink it neat too, is something that I think is kind of like, you don't ever think about. But now that we're doing it, well, I'm doing it. I don't know what everyone else is doing. I think that's a great option too, to just drop a little in, even if you're drinking it neat.
And this isn't something, and again, we've got a lot of products, so we could put everything in there. You do have, I will tell you this. So the Fire Spice Orange, the Black Walnut, and the Smoky Simple Syrup, this is something you guys ought to know, because this is like a pretty recent thing, is, you know, the Ascot Awards just came out like, what, 2 weeks ago? Like 2 weeks ago, like today or something. It was super recent. So we had 3 products on the market, Black Walnut Bitters, Fire Spice Orange Bitters, and our Smoky Simple Syrup. Entered all 3 of them. All 3 of them came back double platinum.
Cool. That's amazing.
So we were double platinum on all 3 of the products. Super. I mean, and again, here's the thing, guys. I started this company. I mean, technically, I was 53. I was 53 when the. I don't necessarily know what the hell I'm doing. I mean, some days, I mean, I don't have impossible, but let's be honest, as human beings, some days you wake up and you're like, I honest to God don't know. I think I know what the hell I'm doing, but I might be wrong. I might just be an idiot and I just haven't figured it out yet, you know? And it's just one of those things that then you get that back and you're like, hey, no, okay, no, I'm smart. I'm good. I at least know how to do one thing right, which is make good juice to go in the bottle. So
it's funny you say that. I love, because I feel like we talk to a lot of like people that are established enough, but not, you know, it's not, you're not looking at Old Forester or Four Roses. We're not talking to those guys, but we just, when we talked to Larrikin 2 months ago, they said the same thing. They just said, if we can do it, anybody can do it, because we did not know what we were doing. And all of a sudden it was working, you know, like, and it's so fun to hear that, because it really is just a process and everybody has a different way to do it. And it's really cool to hear that. So I put this, I'm using, this probably doesn't qualify because it's not from Kentucky. It's the only one I have. A Kings County distillery. It's Empire Rye. It's actually from New York, and it's 122 proof. And it does not taste like that. It's the only one I have.
Okay. And you did the really Fire Spice and the Smoky Simple?
Yep. And I just added a dash of water because I'm a baby when it comes to proof. But just like as if I was going to mix it, I have ice with me too. But it's so smooth and you still get the smoke even with the high proof. I think when I tried it with the orange bitters, the smoke almost came last after the orange went in. The orange bitters went in. And it reminded me, like my cocktail brain it reminded me of the way that like when someone's making a cocktail and they're charring an orange peel to put on your old fashioned, the way that smells is the way that tastes to me. It was so like brought me back to a fancy cocktail bar where they did that. It was really cool. Really, really cool interaction.
Thank you. One of the things that I love about that Smoky Simple is just the way it plays in the drink. I love what it does to the mouthfeel of the drink. I love the way it pulls that together. I love just the subtle smokiness that you get. To me, I think about like here at the house, literally our deck is just right there. And so I've got a Traeger smoker. Now I know some people are like, Traeger, that's not even real. Okay, fine. Everybody's got opinions about smokers. That's fine. A smoker,
no matter. You're not supposed to say the brand, just like the whiskey. You're not supposed to say it.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I have a pellet smoker whose name shall remain nameless. But here's the thing. If you think about all those smokers, whatever they are, what do they tell you to do after you start them up, right? You start them up, you keep the lid open, and you let that big billow of that first white smoke, you let it go, you let it get out. Why? Because that's that acrid smoke. It's just like very strong and sort of stringent. And what I love about and I'm being a little arrogant here, but what I love about what I think we've accomplished is we've got not that billowy smoke, not that first one, but we've got that middle. It's almost like head, hearts, tails, We've got the
Yeah,
heart, just that super clean smoke right in the middle. It's not harsh. It doesn't overwhelm you. So I can sit here and again, obviously I'm biased, but we drink this stuff all the time. I mean, and again, it's nice because we just bring the syrup home by the
sure.
case. But
Yeah.
every drink that we have, you can drink 3 or 4 of these in a night. And to me, the smoke never becomes overwhelming. And I
No,
think
it
that's a really
doesn't.
cool
It
thing.
makes it soft almost. It just softens it, or like
Mhm.
almost like the mouthfeel feels kind of creamy. I touch back here because that's what
Yeah.
it feels like. I feel it in here, and it's so nice and soft and delicious. I'm like loving it. If in a half hour I'm speaking in cursive, it's because of you. Okay, just want to say that. Okay.
No.
So that's orange spice. What's next? One of my
Oh,
favorite bitters from before, but even more so now.
okay. All right. So the black walnut. So we all know there's a large bottle wrapped in paper that says black walnut bitters. I think you may even have some. Yep, because I think I saw some. But here's what I'm going to say: if you've got another black walnut bitters, you at all, the whole group, side by side, I want you to do it right now. I want you to put a couple droppers of the Bluegrass Bitters, Black Walnut Bitters in there. And then I'd like you to put a couple droppers of whatever bitters you're using, whatever Black Walnut bitters you're using. I'd like them to go side by side.
Okay.
And I'm going to answer Harold real quick while everybody's setting that up. How long are the bitters and simple syrup shelf stable? So a couple things. The bitters, in theory, well, I'm going to tell you a couple things. I'll give you a few answers. Because they have a high alcohol base, they're never going to go bad. Ours, because of the process, the flavor profiles are incredibly shelf stable. There's no artificial flavors, no artificial colors. To do that, it's 100% natural, but we use incredibly high quality ingredients. So the flavor profile on our bitters are incredibly stable. The simple syrup, if you don't open it, it's shelf stable. We say for 2 years after it's produced. That's probably being conservative. What I
Yeah.
say, if you're in a bar, you don't even have to refrigerate it. But for the home, I'll tell you this: as soon as we get it out, as soon as we pop it open, I throw it in the fridge. Now we're probably going through a bottle, no more than every couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to last that, but
Same
you
for
could put,
bar. You're not gonna have to worry about it for
yeah, at a bar, you could just leave it out if you wanted to. But if you're keeping it in your house and you're putting it in your fridge, honest to goodness, I mean, it'd probably be like eggs. I don't know what the number would be, but it's easily months. So you're going to be fine with
it's a
that. But
suggestion. It
just as
depends on what you like. It's fine.
yes, but I wouldn't leave it out. I would say that. But
Yeah.
as far as the black walnut goes,
Okay, I have two, and the one in the paper rack bottle is definitely darker, which makes me think added something, maybe.
maybe.
This one is more, obviously yours is more caramel colored, and it's looser. This one is a little more syrupy. It feels like a little heavier. This one is a lot looser, which is great for in the cocktail world, which I will always defer to for combining it and integrating into a cocktail. So that's my first, without tasting it, observation.
Well, and the one in paper, and again, not knocking it, just it is what it is. That has a glycerin base. Ours
Okay.
has an alcohol base.
Mhm.
Right? So that first and foremost is going to change it.
I agree, Jeannie. She said it smells kind of chemically, so she must have that one too.
Yep. Here's the thing with that. Black walnuts, right? So real black walnut. Here's the deal. Oh, the one wrapped in paper was just if you happen to have that. That wasn't in the kit.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
um, so here's the deal. So if you got a nut allergy, seriously, like don't take it, right? Because it's like the real deal. It's true black walnuts. It's not an English walnut, right? So if you go out and you go to Kroger or whatever, you get just like if they're just labeled walnuts, you're getting an English walnut, which is fine. It's a good meaty. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with an English walnut, but a black walnut has a deep, earthy flavor, right? So that you're really going to get. So what you're getting when you taste this, the Bluegrass Bitters 5-Spice Orange, award-winning Bluegrass Bitters, Black Walnut Bitters, I should say, you're going to get
Double.
the true double platinum. You're going to get the true black walnut. You're going to get a middle layer of baking spices,
Mhm.
and you're going to get a little bit, and I bet you've already guessed this, Andy Joe, you're going to get a little bit of chocolate,
Mhm.
just a little
Yep,
bit.
feel it. Like that chalky part is the last thing that I'm feeling.
And it's interesting. Sweetness tends to come in on that, and chocolate kind of plays in. We use it. You're going to get a little bit more of the complexity of the chocolate as opposed to the sweetness of the chocolate. But we love how the chocolate flavor, the cocoa or the cocoa, however you pronounce that. Anyway, how that plays with the black walnut, we just love that. We think that comes out absolutely wonderfully. Um, it's a deeper, earthier flavor. And here's what I recommend to people, because with the 5-spice orange and the smoky simple, that if you're doing the ratios we recommend, which is 2 ounces of your spirit, a third to half an ounce of your smoky simple, and then 2 droppers, not drops, droppers. That'll be about a quarter teaspoon of your bitters.
Okay, that's news to me. So you're saying this is a full dropper?
I'm saying that's a full dropper. Yeah, basically squeeze your
You're doing that twice.
bulb.
Okay.
Yeah, you're doing that twice. That'll be about a quarter teaspoon. And here's the deal. Here's how it works. We call this bitter math.
All math is bitter to me. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm back. Sorry. I don't know what happened. Can anybody see me? Hold on one second. I don't see Shawn. Sorry, Ben. I don't know what happened. One second. Okay, good. You guys can see me, but you can't see Shawn. Can you see Shawn? I can see everybody. And I can hear myself. I don't see Shawn though. Sorry, guys. Well, this is what we're getting back on. I am going to make an old fashioned, I think, while I do it. I even brought my special ice cubes over. I wouldn't do it how I normally would. Does everybody else carry a whole bar in their, so I'll show you how I make mine while we're waiting on Shawn. I can't really see. Let's see if I can do it like this. Probably not. Okay. We're probably grabbing him. He's probably getting back in here. So, the way that I do old fashions, because I want everything to be consistent all the time. Okay. So I always do up to 4 dashes of bitters. Now, if that's a full serving, then I'm going to do black walnut. So I'm going to do, he said 2 full droppers. So I'm going to go full, 2 full droppers is what I'm going to do. So that seems about the same. In my mixing glass, it's just a little bit in there. Seems like about the same as what like 4 droppers would be. I, for consistency, always use a bar spoon of simple. So that's the route I'm going to go, because that's how I always make one, because I want to try and kind of see what the difference is. So I literally, if you can see it, I have a mixing glass right here. It's like one of those fancy videos. I just fill it. Like, it reminds me of like when Mary Poppins gave like the kids medicine. I always was like, how does she get that spoon perfectly without spilling it? That's what it always reminds me of. So it's my rabbit hole spinner. And then I'm going to use a bottled and bond. 100 proof is a way to go for if you're testing something. So I'm using the Lyrican bottled and bond. I love Lyrican. We all know, no secret. These are, I didn't bring my jigger up, but little 1 ounce pours. So I'm going to do just 2 ounces here while we're waiting on him. And then I'm actually going to do a whole nother one with the orange bitters and see what the separate is. So this is all the liquid I have. I have a really small mixing glass because I don't have much bar space in my bar. My rule of thumb is put enough ice in there that it's above the liquid that's inside the mixing glass. And I just got these at a garage sale. So excited. $2 for 6 of them. I thought those were so cool. You won't see those 13. And then I just mix with my heart. Usually at least 10 seconds, 10 to 8 seconds, based on how we're doing. We're very busy making cocktails, Shawn. I don't know what you're doing, but we're making cocktails over here. Waiting for you. You must really.
My computer decided it needed a drink.
Oh, that's okay. So I was just telling them, oh, wait, I forgot the best part. Well, not the best part. The bitters are the best part, right? I have these little, oh, no. Oh, yeah, it did fit. Okay. I have these little ice cubes. But so I was telling them, so I did the full 2 ounces of the bitter, 2 full droppers of the bitters. I usually do 3 to 4 drops. I traditionally would split aromatic and orange, but I did the 2 droppers. And then for measuring, I always just do a full bar spoon of syrup just because I'm already using it in less dishes in a bar. It's always better. So that's what I did. And then I just poured it over in my, I told them I got these at a garage sale for 6 for $2. And if you could see my ice cube, it has a little CNC imprinted thing. This is a little tiny cup for this big old ice cube, but I'm going to go for it. And I use a bottle of bond so that 100 proof across the board. And I think that's a nice one to test stuff with. So anyway, where were we? We were talking about your, I don't remember where we were. What were we doing next? I can't remember.
I think we were talking about ratios, which is
Richard. We were talking about bitters math. And I said all the math is bitter to me. And then you left. I was like, okay.
and then I left. Yeah. I don't know what happened. My computer all of a sudden just said,
it's okay.
I don't know.
I thought it was me. I'm glad it was you and not me.
Nope. Yes. Yeah. So here's the thing. So the bitter math sets. You like that?
That's good. Really good for a desktop, old fashioned ice out of a cooler. And those, I mean, that simple is so nice because what I like about it is it tastes like the liquor. It tastes like the bourbon and just elevated a little bit. And that's exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And that's exactly what it's done. It's really, really delicious.
One of the things I love is when you're doing that with the 5-spice orange and you're following those ratios. So like if we're doing a nonprofit event or something like that and we're pouring under it, we're in there and we're pouring, like we've done that for like Casa of Lexington, right? So we were in the VIP room and we were pouring just like a welcome cocktail. I've had so many people come up to me, Andijo, and they're like, well, I don't like bourbon. I'm like, okay, well, look, why don't you just try this, right?
Number one, we don't like you either. It's fine. If you don't like bourbon, we don't like you. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. But I can't tell you how many people I've had who are just like, oh, wow, I don't normally like bourbon, but I like this. This is pretty good. I just find, and we call that with the 5-spice orange and the smoky simple, we call that the burnt orange. We call that our flagship cocktail. And that works really nice if you're doing that. If you want to elevate that, like if you're having a little dinner party or something, you can elevate that with throw a little dehydrated orange slice in there, put it in like a martini or a chilled coupe glass. It just looks so nice. And here's another thing. So I know since with the computer issue, I burned up some time there. Sorry about that. But
we always go over if you'll go over. So
oh, perfect. That's fine then. So what I don't want to lose though is so on the black walnut, right? So here's the thing. So you can follow, and what you do, you follow that exact same ratio, right? So what I like about the burnt orange is it's so great and it's so approachable for a wide range of people. What I do though is sometimes I'll talk to people and they're like, Shawn, I really only like it neat, or I'm just not a cocktail person, or I don't like the sweet. What I'll do is I'll say, okay, fine, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go 2 ounces of your base spirit, and that could be a rye. It can also be like a Kentucky small batch, right? Which in fairness is going to have a little sweetness to it, right? So do something like that, 2 ounces of that base spirit. Then I'll go a little bit lighter on the syrup. So I'll maybe go like between 1/4 and 1/3 of an ounce. Still do the 2 droppers of the black walnut bitters. And Andijo, I can't tell you how many diehard neat bourbon drinkers I have served that cocktail to. And they're like, Shawn,
that's what this is exactly. So, but it's a high corn bottled and bond. That's the only difference. Is it's 75% corn, but that's
perfect. You know what's so cool is because that black walnut has a little bit of an astringency, right? So what do you do with astringents? You marry them to a sweet, right? And if you've got a higher corn, right? So it plays
Really,
together.
really good. I mean, that's what I said. Like, it just is showcasing that bourbon. I mean, I put a little bit of it, of just the bourbon in this glass, and I mean, honestly, it should taste like it, just with a little flair. You know, it's like how I like to say it is like it should be what you're enjoying in your glass. Your 2 ounces of bourbon or whatever is what you should be tasting and drinking in that glass. It shouldn't taste it like. I literally started my bar because nobody could make an old fashioned. I did it because I would go everywhere and they would take a squeeze bottle of Simple and squeeze it or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, you know, or it was muddled fruit in the bottom and it turns into a fruit salad cocktail and the whole thing. And this is the way that it should be done. These bitters are amazing. I love it. So good.
Thank you.
So if we're doing, I did the black walnut one, and then does it make sense for us to, if anybody made an old fashioned, or to do two things side by side to try the black walnut versus the orange? I think sometimes people think bitters is just bitters. Like, how do you use it as a flavor?
So Andijo, I think that's a great idea, because here's the thing. If you use the same recipe, right, then you literally change those two. And if you use the same base spirit, then you change those 2 glasses by 1/4 of a teaspoon. One of them had 1/4 of a teaspoon of fast spice orange. One of them has 1/4 of a teaspoon of black walnut. That is literally all you changed. Yeah, and then, and I would defy anybody, and I know we've got some people with some really sophisticated palates on this call. You could have the palate of a I don't know, somebody who drinks
whatever you call it, a flavor scientist. I'm looking up what kind of degree I can get for that. Let's be real, like that's crazy.
Oh, these guys! Hey, I tell you what. So I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing some work on the cherry bitters, right? So the cherry bitters just went in the warehouse like a week and a half ago.
Hold on, can I make one point? Remember when we talked about cherry bitters, and I said, "Can I get those for this?" I ordered them the day we talked. They arrived at my door the next day. That is some insane shipping situation. I just want to say I was like, they're not going to be here. And I couldn't believe that it was that fast. I texted Ben Gillette and I was like, did you order these for me ahead of time? Am I going to get another package? And they literally came the next day. So props to you. Amazing. So glad I have them. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Well, we love the cherry bitters. This is one. It was when before I started the company, cherry was my favorite, right? So a cherry old fashioned was my favorite. And then we got into some crazy stuff. So what we figured out is, like, if you do the cherry, and so originally we were doing the cherry with like a small batch. Then I'm like, we're kind of going back to rye now, right? So we do the cherry. So the cherry is great because you've got the good dark cherry. It's not a medicinal. It's not a pink cherry. It's a dark
no
cherry.
Ice cream cherries. Has to be a dark, snappy cherry.
Exactly. You get those good middle baking spices, and then you get a little bit of sweetness on the end, just a tiny bit. Just what it kind of does is it literally cut off that tail. And when you're talking about the flavor scientist, right? So I had to prove this in the beginning, and then I'm like, man, I just wasn't feeling it, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, like I loved it. And it was so funny because, like, I've got a cousin. I think he's in Fort Wayne. You're in Fort Wayne, aren't you?
Fort Wayne area, according to Ben. I'm in Auburn. I'm an Auburnite.
Okay. So I believe he's in Fort Wayne. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, he's up there somewhere. Anyway, and he had tried the cherry when it was just like small batch. I was just making it myself, right? And so we are like ready, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm busy with the orange and the smoky, and then the black walnut came on. I'm like, well, I got to deal with the cherry, but just not yet. But I just like, it's just in my gut, right? I'm like, I'm just not like, they're like 90% there, but they're just not there, right? And again, when you start a company later and you believe you can get like double gold or double platinum, whatever, you know, the standards are pretty dang high, right? So I'm like, okay, so we're doing this. I'm like, I just don't think we're there yet. And it was funny because Todd, so he's down there, so we just had like this little cousins thing down here, and we're literally in my kitchen, literally like 10 feet from where I'm sitting. And you know, we're talking, and like Heather's down here, she's from Chicago, and I'm like, Heather, what do you think of the old fashioned? She's like, oh my God, I love it, blah, blah, blah. But you know, she's from Chicago, she doesn't drink a lot of bourbon. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I'm like, Todd, what do you think? And he's like, Shawn, he's like, man, he goes, I really like it. He goes, but your first cherry, he goes, it was better. It was better. And you know, you gotta love a cousin who's just like not gonna be,
yeah,
you know. And Andy Joe, I'm not kidding you. I said, that's it. I said, I'm not launching them. I'm not launching them. So I went back to the flavor scientist and I said, I'm not launching them. And they're like, Shawn, you're overreacting, da, 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 da. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm not launching these. I said, get me back in the lab. We got to figure this out. So it's funny when you're talking about the flavor scientist. So I was working with like the head flavor scientist. His name's Tom. And we were doing all this prep work ahead of time. I said, Tom, I just don't think there's enough cherry on the front end. And so this is like where I like fell in love, like with the way this dude thinks. He goes, Shawn, he goes, here's the thing, Shawn. He goes, I don't think it's that you don't have enough cherry. He goes, you've got enough cherry in there. He goes, I think you have too much vanilla and cinnamon and they're masking the cherry. Yeah, he goes, we need to pull the cherry back. And I'm like, dude, I love you. I'm like, just geek out on this stuff. Anyway, and we were in the lab for an entire day. I'm not kidding you. We went through like a dozen recipes and I said, I love this. And then I literally came back and I said, here's what I want you to do. I said, tweak these other things and let's see if we can break it. Let's see if we can go too far. And we did. And I go, okay, we broke it. That's too far. Not going to go there. So we had to pull it back. Anyway, totally love it.
I love that you're committed. Hey, if you guys can mute your microphones until we call on you, that would be awesome. So I don't have to listen to the sound of my own voice. It's like every post.
Andy Joe, I think you're muted.
I'm back. Somebody muted me. Rick, if you guys can mute yourselves, that'd be helpful. So I now have made 3 old fashions, okay? And I have all the bitters and I have each of them. And I want to have a confession for everyone. I've never done this before. I've never tried the bitters with different drinks. And I am a sucker for a big old cube too and all that, like we know. But it is amazing. I mean, I'm not typically the person that's like, I'm going to make 3 old fashions for myself at the same time. But the difference in flavor profile with the only thing I've changed is the bitters using the smoky syrup is pretty wild. I have such a different respect for the bitter space because I wasn't really totally understanding it, and understanding the difference of just 2 droppers is going to make a difference. So I'm going to let Joan, are you ready to chit chat here? Okay. Gillette, I'm going to let you mute me or whatever you need on here. And then Joan, if you have a question, you can go ahead and go with that and talk to Shawn. That would be awesome.
Hey, Shawn, it's Joan. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Hey, I have tried making my own bitters at home, and I made a rhubarb bitter and a rhubarb anise bitter.
Ooh.
And I've had a couple of bartenders taste it, and they are amazed with it. I've also made it like a garden mint bitter. Which one of the bartenders just put it in soda water and said I could drink this all day. What is that?
That's so this is out of the bitters lab, but this is mint. That's actually version 1. Actually, the original name of the company was Simply Bitters, but this is a mint bitters that I made a few years ago. I don't know if it'll ever come to market or not, but we've got a few things like that. So I hear you on the mint.
Awesome. I have been testing rye and bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
I like the rye better with the 5-spice orange.
Yeah.
The orange seems to come a little too much on my palate, and I'm one that loves flavors. I've actually now got both the black walnut and the 5-spice orange, along with the smoky simple syrup and rye in here, and I'm enjoying it quite well.
Well, thank you. Have you tried the cherry?
No, I'll need to get on your site and try the cherry. yeah, I'm going to have to put this as a tester tasting on the Whiskey Granny podcast.
I will tell you that please do. My wife, she and I joke about this. She's like, I want him to drink. I want to call it the Kathy. I said, we're not calling it the Kathy. I said,
Aw.
but not because I don't love her. Like, we want this company to be big, and then they're gonna be like, who's Kathy? Anyway, but here's the deal. Kathy does a cherry old fashioned. So it's again the 2 ounces, the half an ounce of smoky simple, 2 droppers of the cherry. But here's the deal: do 2 droppers of the cherry, and then do 1 dropper of the orange. And I'm not lying. That cherry old fashioned's amazing. You put 1 dropper of the orange in, it's amazing. And then, no lie, spritz it with the 5-spice orange and the mister, and it's amazing. God is my witness. It's like 3 separate drinks, and you are making tiny micro changes, and it's like 3 separate drinks. Super. She does it all the time. She's a Houdini behind the bar when we have friends over. It's
Well,
super
honestly, for any old fashioned, you need a little bit of orange.
cool.
You know,
I agree.
yeah, and that cherry on top is great too. So yeah, no, I'm gonna need to get on and look at what else you have. Actually, I have been on. I've looked at what you had, but I haven't yet, pulled the trigger on everything you've got. So
I literally got the mister because I was thinking about neat pours, and I was like, I don't want to have as much on there.
I literally got the mister because I was thinking about neat pours.
Gillette, mute yourself.
Have as
I
much.
just put it
I
down.
literally got the mister because I was thinking pours. Gillette, mute yourself.
Myself.
I was-
Sorry, maybe I should just be muted. I'll just leave.
no,
No, but you know what? One thing, Shawn, is that I do sometimes. I like a really cherry old fashioned too. So in my bar, my cherry, I have a flip top cherry jar, and it's got a big long spoon in it. I will mix my old fashioned with the cherry spoon that's got all the cherry syrup in it. I feel like that counts as a simple syrup if I'm making it for myself. I'm just saying.
I'm with you on that.
Thank you. I just need you to agree with me for everything that I say, so I appreciate that.
Yes. No, I do. And it is sort of funny because I tend to lean more into the bitters. Kathy's a little bit more, she tends to go and we'll use a bit more of the syrup. If you look on our website, or like if you look at some of our social media, you'll see we've got some ice cubes that have the Kentucky outline in them.
Mhm.
And the way we make that pop, okay, again, this is like a big exclusive, so nobody else hears this. We actually fill it with cherry juice.
Oh yeah.
So that's actually what.
I wish I could show you mine. I buy cubes with the CNC. They could put a CNC Queen of Hearts in it, and you could totally just put those right in there in that group. So, who's next? Let's do Ken and Betty. Why don't you guys get online and introduce yourselves and ask Shawn your question, and I'll stop talking. I'll just drink all 3 of my old fashioned.
Hi, Shawn. We live just outside of St. Louis, so every chance we get to go east, we always make a stop through Kentucky. I am typically a neat bourbon person because I find that most old fashions are a little too sweet. But I have to tell you, your simple syrup with that smoky flavor has cured me of that. That is just wonderful. We really enjoyed it.
We both agree, and all the drinks that we made tonight were cut above. And Andy Joe, thank you. That was a great hostess on the whole night. I have to say, as much as I love bourbon, this was better with rye. The whole night. We tried a bourbon, we tried them rye.
I like the rye.
And we both like the rye. I mean, we drink bourbon neat or on ice. And we made these cocktails with bourbon and rye, and it was fun to have the rye. But your bitters, this class taught us so much about simple syrup and bitters, which we don't usually use.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time and your instruction and information.
Really.
Yeah.
Well,
I would
thank you.
like to ask you, Shawn, do you have a storefront in Louisville, or are you strictly online?
We partner with some people. So yes,
Mhm.
there are some places in Louisville you can get it.
Okay.
If you come into Louisville,
Mhm.
the next time, please do visit our friends downtown at Art Eatables.
Oh,
Um,
we've been there.
We've been there. Yeah.
Yep, they've got some really cool stuff. Those bourbon-based chocolates. Listen, I'll tell you, I love those guys. They committed to carry my product when I was in R&D and just figuring out who my co-packer was. I all day long look for new things. In fact, we were just emailing today on a new event that we're trying to put together for October. We love those guys, Kelly and Forrest, amazing. So Art Eatables is great. The only thing I'll tell you about Art Eatables is they're a nut-free shop, so they don't carry the black walnut. It's the only thing they don't carry.
Oh, okay.
They don't
Okay.
carry that.
I didn't think I'd like the black walnut, but it is really amazing.
Thank
With
you.
Well,
the-
if you get the
with-
if you get the cherry, it'll
Yeah.
do. If you do the
Yeah,
orange and the
I
cherry,
wanna try the
the
cherry.
cherry's so good.
I mean, you were a great moderator. You asked a lot of the questions we were thinking.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
way ahead on you. And cheers to the BBC and to you, Shawn, for doing what you've done.
All
Cheers.
my
Thank you.
old fashions.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go with who's over here? Where's your name? Gillette, I can't see anyone's names. Not John. I don't know who that is. I can't see anyone's name. So you're up. John, Gillette. Did we lose him? John, where's Gillette? Rick, you're up.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to get my mic on. I thought.
Oh,
maybe
there
you
he
was talking
is.
to me. I
There he
couldn't
is.
tell.
Okay, sorry. Rick, I don't know you. I've met you for the first time tonight. Sorry, I didn't know your name, but my moderator wouldn't have your name tag on. So now you're in. Hillbilly
Okay.
Logic, love it.
Yeah, yeah. Hillbilly Logic Trio, actually. Anybody likes music, check me out on Hillbilly Logic Trio. I mean, I guess I've already said it, so I guess I was allowed.
No, it's okay. We'll take it.
Hey, Rick,
Oh.
I'm just going to introduce and say if you like that intro music and if you
I
like that
didn't hear it.
outro music that's coming, that came from Rick.
I did not hear any music so far tonight.
I'll stay on at the end. You're going to hear it.
Okay. So, Shawn, I appreciate you doing this, man. I tell you what I like better about your bitters. I'm not much of a mixed drink person. Let's see, which one did I just do? Let me look right here on my phone. I had the recipe up on my phone. I just done the Manhattan with some Maker's Mark cask strength, 7 year, 3 months. And it's okay, but I'm more of a neat person myself. But I tell you what I do like. If you look around here in front of me, this is a 250th anniversary blend that I done out of all these bottles behind me. That's really, really tasty. So I do a lot of blending. So what I'm going to do is experiment with your bitters here as I do some blends. Not necessarily a bottled blend like that 250 to where it's going to be setting for a long time. But if I'm going to go do a blind, I'm going to throw in maybe like a 2-ounce blend with some of your bitters and see how it comes up and see how it works. So I really like that idea because I mean I do a lot of blendings. I've been in several contests and stuff throughout the years, and so I do a lot of I like doing a lot of blending. And I really, when you were earlier talking about just putting the bitters in the bottom of the glass, they tasted really good.
Thank you.
But as far as mixed drinks, I'm just not much of a mixed drink person. I mean, that's just my palate. I like my bourbon and my rye straight up. You know, I may even get crazy and turn a bottle up sometime.
But Rick, if you had people over and not everybody likes neat bourbon, you could just add a little bit of this to each of those and make it a little old fashioned, right? I mean, that's kind of
True. Me and my wife, we enjoy. She's not a bourbon drinker like straight. She will sample some of my blends every now and then, especially the nose, because I lost my taste and smell during COVID. And it's finally starting. My taste came back probably 2 years ago, but my nose is still kind of liking just a little bit, but it's coming around. So, but me and her will get together. She will nose my blends and any other, some of the bourbons I buy stuff. She'll nose them, but and sometimes take a tiny sip. But she likes whiskey sours and margaritas and stuff like that I do for her. So what do you have as far as a bitter that would help me with my whiskey sour?
How did it help you with the whiskey sour?
If I was gonna make a suggestion in the sour space, sour is citrus, so I would go orange. If you wanted to really change the way that that whiskey sour taste, I would go black walnut is so on the other side of the spectrum as the whiskey sour. I don't mean to interrupt you, Shawn, but or like to step in front of you, but in the cocktail world, I would go whiskey sour plus black walnut. I think that, and even maybe a little cherry spritz. But if you go citrus to citrus, it's not gonna be that huge of a change. But I think if you go black walnut, it's really gonna elevate
Hey,
that.
man. Y'all excuse me. I had my bassist just walk through the door here. I haven't been
Rick,
paying
you're
attention
so
to
much
my
cooler
text.
than all the rest of us. Like, oh,
I
my
haven't been
bassist
paying
just
attention
showed
to my
up.
text messages, so I didn't know he was on his way. I'm sure he texted me probably about 5 times.
He probably doesn't drink whiskey, does he?
And so did my wife, he said. My wife's actually at work.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed this. This has been great, man. I'm glad I got in on it all. And thanks to the McAdories for getting me involved with y'all.
Yeah, of course, it was nice. The intro music was Rick's, but Shawn, do you have anything to add about that as far as cocktail making with the sweet versus the bitters?
No, I think you nailed it, and that's one of the things that that frankly where I kind of get out of my area, because what I learned a long time ago is I for whatever reason I'm really good at figuring out how to crack the recipe for the juice in the bottle, but I am not a mixologist. And I just defer to people who are, because that is a completely separate skill set that I am starting to learn some of those things, but man, I just step back and defer. So thank you for jumping in.
Shawn, I got you. You want to do cocktail events? Just call me. I got you. Okay.
Hey,
I love that stuff. I love it.
No, I love it. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I realize that I can partner, but like I'm really good at like a really small sliver of this universe, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I can own that sliver, and I'll be that guy. But everything to the left and right of it, yeah, it's got to be somebody else's domain.
I was just talking away and just discovered my mic was muted.
Oh, that's all right. We're gonna go with John. John, I know your dad's there, right?
Absolutely, and Shawn, appreciate this time together. This is something that my dad and I like doing, and glad to know that we can learn new things. And that's exactly what happened with my dad today. He has never had anything like this, and that really has opened his eyes to a lot of different things, and he absolutely enjoys this. The only other question I would have is, are you going to plan to come out with a book of cocktails with your bitters and things like that? Is there something that I haven't checked your website or anything like that, because this was kind of a thing I forgot about until recently. But yeah, it would be great to know, like, is there something for like my dad can maybe get a book and use your bitters and things like that? Was there something coming up?
It's in the business plan, and with us being, I mean, again, literally being on the market. What are we now, like 9.5 months on the market? It isn't.
You just got an award. I mean, what does everyone expect, Shawn? Like, you just got a double platinum award.
Exactly. But the short answer is yes. When I look around and I see what other people have done, it just is a way to say, look, we own the product, we built the product, we made the product. This is the way we are going to give you some guidelines and suggestions for how to do that. So we've got, like, if somebody orders, I will tell you what we do sort of in the meantime. So we will have, we'll definitely have like a recipe book or a cookbook or something like that.
I saw some of those cards come through when we got the sample.
These are where to start. I was going to say, don't discount it. These are the staples right here.
Because I know that I had some side-by-side bitters here today at Ben's house, and you could definitely tell that your bitters are a higher class, and they're a lot nicer and a lot better. And sometimes when they are higher class like that, you don't have to use as much. So sometimes, like, if you try to follow somebody else's recipe and you use the same amount, then it might not make the cocktail be as nice. And then they say, well, this isn't a good bitters, whereas, as a matter of fact, they're having top shelf instead of, just the entry level or the wrap paper or something I heard about today. So
Yeah.
that's why I was just kind of curious, because we really enjoyed your bitters and your stuff tonight.
Thank you.
And honored to be in this to try it. So we appreciate that.
They are definitely a superior quality product. I just have a question. The word bitters, where did that word come from, and to apply to the product you're making? What's the etymology of the word bitters? How does that come into being?
I have no idea. That's a great question, and I'm going to find that out. I don't know. You know what? I've not even thought to ask that question of myself, and I feel like I should have. I don't know, but I will tell you this. I'll know in the next couple of days. I'll know before the end of the weekend. That's a great darn question. I do not know.
Well, I'm glad to give you something to research.
You did.
Okay.
Again, Shawn, thank you very much for
my
your time.
personal assistant's name is ChatGPT, and I just looked it up.
And
it says that it's because it's highly concentrated. There's no sugar ever involved with bitters. That if you take it by itself, it tastes medicinal. So people started calling it bitters. I think that the Sazerac, I believe, if I remember, for example, a bitters story, that it was named, the Sazerac cocktail was named after a doctor that was prescribing Paychards or whatever. I never say that right. Bitters to a patient that had a bellyache or whatever. And he was like, oh, I've been mixing it with my whiskey, and it turned to a Sazerac. So they started using it as very small amounts as medicinal, and then it turned into a recreational cocktail, is what I believe, right? Gillette, why are you on camera? Gonna correct me?
Oh,
Thank you very much.
wrapping her up.
Oh, wrapping her up?
Yeah, well, thanks again, Shawn.
Yeah, you
Greatly
guys are having
appreciate
too
it.
much fun.
Okay. So we are, it's 12 after 9. That's not usually how late we go, but it's been really, really cool, Shawn. And can you tell us real quick, you have a kickoff happening for Cherry Bitters, and Cherry Bitters just went online, literally just went online like a couple of days ago. So if anybody wants to go on and get the dark cherry bitters before they sell out or whatever happens, I would do that now, and you'll get them. If you buy them right now, they'll ship in 2 days, which is really cool. And then tell us about your kickoff.
yeah, so what we're doing is we're aligning our cherry bitters. We're doing more activations around National Cherry Day, because we knew they were going to come in around June. Of course, that's bourbon and the da. And we're like, no, National Cherry Day, which happens to be like July 16th. Who knew? I didn't know. Anyway,
I have no idea.
It's true. For all those who wish to share it, and all those who wish to partake of the cherry festivities, so we're going to be pushing it. So if you look at our social media, we're going to have some teasers. If you subscribe to our newsletter, and if you don't, please do go to our website, subscribe to our newsletter. It's only once a month. Here's the thing. It's only once a month. We don't spam you, and we always have a featured cocktail. So you want to do that.
Oh, featured cocktail. Yep. Love that.
Yeah, we always keep you up on the latest stuff. But we're going to have more activations and more stuff going on, and we're just kind of rolling this out. But it is available now. So for you fine folks and our friends at BIG, it's available now. You can go ahead and get it. And like you said, we ship Monday through Friday, and we try and get, if the order comes in before, we don't have a hard cutoff, but if the order comes in some reasonable time, we try to get it out that same day.
I mean, we literally had a conversation at 2:30 p.m. and I ordered at 3, and it was at my door the next day. I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. So I mean, that's what small business is. That's what's about. It's amazing. So
yeah, in all seriousness, customer service. I mean, that's not lost on us. We're a young brand, we're a new brand, but honest to goodness, customer service matters, and we take it seriously. So I'm glad you had that experience, because sometimes with shipping, once it goes over the counter, we don't have any control. So I'm really glad that's the way it worked, because we want everybody to have a great experience.
It's really great. So we have a Google Meet after this. We want to always try and cut it about an hour and 15 here on YouTube. So if you want to pop into Google Meet, if anybody has any more questions or whatever, we're going to go into there. But I just want to thank everybody. Thank all our Top Shelf members. You guys are really what are helping us stay and keep doing what we're doing. If you're a Rick House member and you haven't been a paid member, we'd love to have you. There's some really great opportunities for discounted event tickets and some extra perks that we're really working on. But Shawn, the biggest thing is thank you for sharing your passion with us. And for a lot of us, something we've never understood. So I just really appreciate it.
No, well, thank you for having me, guys. This was great. I mean, again, I love Big. It's where I made the first announcement that we were going into business.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
And Joe's older than dirt. That's a true statement. And so I'm just really honored to be back here with you guys tonight. I really am.
All right. Thanks, Shawn. And we'll see everybody in July. And if you want to have any more questions for Shawn, pop over to the Google Meet. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shawn.